like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery, is in pain, and crieth out in her pangs, so have we been in thy sight, O Lord. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Thy dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust, for thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.
This is Kenneth Vance from Rooftop Videos. Okay. I want you to consider the possibility of what I'm going to bring forth. This is not declared fact, this is theory, but this is very interesting. I'm going to try to keep this short, but I have asserted in my previous video, Roaring Lion, Yahweh is warning us right now. But what is he warning us about? I want to go over that today. Most of you like to have a timeline. Well, I'm going to give you one today. Can't declare it as 100% fact. I can declare it is well worth listening to. And if this is the case, by chance, we only got about 3 weeks. I told you the March 30 eclipse was the second sign of Jeremiah 51, the second rumor, beyond a shadow of a doubt. That being the case, what does that say? It said Moses died, they mourned for 30 days, so from March 3rd to the end of the year, on April Fool's Day, the last day of the Hebrew year, is 30 days. Cannot be coincidence. But I want to give you this timeline. And I didn't bring the Bible, I don't need to. You know these verses forwards and backwards, I'll just mention them. But I done some real deep thinking. And yesterday, it started popping in my head out of nowhere. And there's this site, this guy still believes in the rapture, it's wrong, but still calls himself Blow the Shofar. Yesterday he even looked, and he had a video he just put up of everything I was thinking yesterday, starting yesterday morning. I didn't even see his video. And I already had all these thoughts in my head. I took it as a confirmation. So this is one interesting possibility, especially with the Iran war going on. And we have heard these verses so many times that maybe we didn't see it deep enough. And now I'm looking at it a little bit different right now. And it begins when the king said, learn a parable of the fig tree. Why would he say learn? What's so important about learning about a fig tree? I'm thinking he's saying that whenever prophecy is talking about figs for the last days, we put them all together and get them draw out the picture. I think that's what he's trying to hint at us, but you know. But notice what he says. When you see the leaves and the branches about to bud, this is the statement that I walked right on past. I walked right on past it and didn't catch it. So listen to what I'm telling you. Listen. Then you know that the summer is nigh. Okay, people can interpret that to be the birth of Israel on May 14th, 1948. Well, they're already a month and a half into the summer portion anyway. There's only 2 seasons. Summer, which is 6 months, winter, 6 months. The first day of the Hebrew year is the first day of summer, according to the Bible. And the king's telling you this. Because if it was like 3 months into the summer, well, the leaves and branches already been growing for a long time. Not that they're just starting to bud. He's telling you, as they're starting to bud from the winter, the summer is nigh. He's just telling you there's 2 seasons. That's his word. But why would he say that? Now, he was telling the disciples what's the sign of the world. He's coming to all this stuff that's going on. He's going back and forth telling us all these things. But he seems to be throwing in a timeline. I think he means a timeline. And I'll show you why in just a second and what I walked right on past. I could still be wrong, so don't call me no false prophet or anything. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and we just gotta wait. And if it's no, it's no. But what if? What if the summer is nigh? The first day of the year is approaching. He says, learn that. He says, I want you to learn about the figs in light of that. Now, he goes on just a few verses later because he isn't finished. He tells us the summer is nigh portion. Now he's talking more. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Now all of a sudden, he's talking about Noah's day, and you got to put both of them together. Because he's trying to draw you a parallel, and you're going to see why in just a second of where I'm going with this. And why it's possible the first day of the year, on April the 2nd, might be Noah's flood, round 2 beginning. Possibly. With the first day of the year. That's a big statement. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. I'm telling you, it matches. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The round war is still going on anyway. Prophecy's happening there. So we're not losing much. But what if? I know they're marrying and giving them marriage, eating and drinking. Life went on as normal, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But he says until the day the flood came and took them all away. He mentions a specific day. But what day might he be referring to? Well, he said the summer is nigh, the first day of the year. If we put those two together, and they're just like 2 or 3 verses in between each part as he's explaining. So is he telling us there's a Noah's timeline in the last days that begins everything breaking loose? What if? What if? Well, what part of Noah's timeline is there going to be? Well, the flood started on the 17th day of the 2nd month. But that's not summer is nigh no more. You're already 2 months into it. Month and a half. What might that be? He says summer is nigh. That's the first day of the year. Now Amos chapter 8 verse 1, and he says, what do you see? I see a basket of summer fruit. That's twice. He says the end has come upon my people of Israel. Maybe Amos wasn't meaning the first day of the year, but I would assume at first, yes. If the king and Amos both speaking from the same spirit, I would assume it's the first day of the year. But what part of Noah's timeline might it be? In line with the king that says the summer is nigh, the first day of the summer. Genesis 8:13, where he gets specific. He says flat out, on the first month, on the first day of the month, in the 601st year, the waters were dried up, and Noah removed the covering of the ark. On the first day of the year, that summer is nigh, as it was in the days of Noah, is it not? You see where I'm going with this? On the first day of the year, Is he telling us something? Because something strange happens, you know. They don't get out of the ark. I mean, it's dried up. It should be okay. There's nobody out there to get them anymore. Everyone's gone. But they're still staying in the covering of the ark to the 27th day of the second month. Why is that? Is that a signal to us? They had no reason to be there. They didn't need protection, obviously, right? It was over. It was at peace. Maybe he's trying to tell us that somewhere in Noah's timeline, which is the same thing as summer is near, the first day of the year is here, maybe he's telling us that the day Noah removed the covering of the ark in the last days, that day is when we put on the covering of the ark. That Noah's flood round 2 begins on that day. And then possibly, because he says you hide yourself till the indignation passes over, as they were 2 extra months almost in the ark, that we're in our arks, our homes, or wherever we're hiding from the chaos that might be coming, till approximately the end of the second month. Is that a possibility, a parallel? Is it possible? Thought I would bring this up. It does sound awfully suspicious to me. And remember, 1 year for Noah's flood. I've been saying there's 1 year, Isaiah 63:4, the year of my redeemed has come. That's the year of our redemption. The second Exodus, the beginning of the move, but there's going to be travailing as well. Is it possible all this stuff's going to happen at once? That he's waiting, because he waits right to the day. He's dead on time, right? Smack on the money. It would make sense. The first day of the year, that's when it starts hitting. Maybe even possibly because the sixth seal talks about figs. Maybe on Passover, he'll loose the sixth seal. Remember, the March 3rd eclipse went right through the center of the ring of fire, the path of the moon. What if? What if this eclipse, and I pretty much believe it anyway, is a 30-day last warning that here it comes, and he's waiting right down to the day. Now, if nothing happens, don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what is a possibility and a very interesting one. And it would fall in line with Noah's timeline. Not the first day the flood happened with him, but from the time that it was all at peace and he could remove the covering, we pick back up where he left off, and the last day's end of the world begins on the day he removed the covering. He was at peace, now we're at war. Now we put on the covering of the ark. Is that a possibility? Because he didn't have to mention that specific day, but he sure made a detail out of writing about it, didn't he? Could it be that we are about to enter into a time that we just can't believe? Maybe this Iran war by then is going to get far more severe, and it's just going to hit and hit and hit. If not, okay, we'll just wait a little bit longer. But I still think this Passover is extremely important this year. I really believe that. So the summer is near, seems to me a timeline, a warning that just as Noah removed the covering on the first day and summer is nigh, it goes hand in hand and it fits. It just does. The timing fits. And he said, as it was in Noah's day, and the flood came and took them all away. I would assume that there's a certain day when everything starts getting taken away, because he mentioned it. If he's being literal and we're taking it literally, that would be my conclusion. You could, however you want to do it, that's fine. But I would say be prepared for at least 2 months of digging in Not as an act of cowardice. You're not going to want to be out there. When he says hide yourself to the worst of the indignation is over, because everyone, when it does hit, they're going to go crazy. They're not prepared. They're going to be killing each other. It's going to be chaos. Like 40 days of rain, right? Chaos. Everything's broken loose in Noah's day. Waters of the great deep broken up. Well, everyone's going to be broken up and everything's going to fall apart. Kind of like 40 days and nights of rain, isn't it? To the indignation passes over in these last days. So that's all I ask. Consider, just be ready. Because I do think prophetic events are going to get much more severe and much sooner than we think. So I'm keeping this one short. Just something to think about. Whether it's true or not, please don't be mad. But what if? What if